Hey guys, it's Sue, and I'm here for a review of Velveteen by Daniel Marks. This is the cover of it. I'm afraid I don't have an actual arc of it. This is a debut novel in the young adult genre, and it's being published in October by Delacorte books. I received a digital arc from Edelweiss, and I read that on my Nook. This story takes place predominantly in purgatory, and I always envision purgatory as just black, limitless void. Pretty boring. Not so in Daniel Marks' world. He has brought purgatory to life, life in his book. Very vivid, very unique view of it. In his world, it's divided into districts. It's eternal night, ashen grave, buildings are crumbling. There are laws, there are jobs. It's still an organized society, a bit of organization out of chaos. And there are two main groups in this particular story. There are collectors and salvagers. The collectors are the ones that travel into daylight, which is where the living are from, and they bring back things that purgatory needs to run and to be built. The stones, the metal, the paper, wood, clothing that the people wear. They bring back records. Everything that human society is kind of like thrown to the wayside, they bring back and use. And the other group are the salvagers. They are the ones that retrieve wayward or trapped souls from daylight and help to free them, and so they can travel to purgatory or beyond. These two groups do not get along well together. There's kind of a jealous rivalry, especially the collectors for the salvagers, because the salvagers seem to get much more attention, like as if their job is much more important. One particular salvage team is run by our main protagonist, Velveteen Monroe, referred to as Velvet through most of the book. At 16, she was kidnapped and murdered by a serial killer, and now she finds herself in charge of this kind of group of misfit youngsters with a very important job to do. And I love every one of her team. Their backstories were wonderful, very, very detailed, likable characters, very interesting. One particular coworker by the name of Nick, she has very strong feelings for. He is one hottie. And he also is very attracted to her, and they can't kind of deny their passion, but they need to, especially Velvet knows that relationships between coworkers is strictly forbidden. But it's hard to fight when there's a hot guy. So she's not one necessarily to follow the rules. She's got some other things on her mind. In addition to her job and her feelings for Nick, she has a much more important plan for her life as it is. And that's to haunt the holy heck out of her serial killer, Bonesaw. She uses these cracks that the collectors and salvagers use to travel between daylight and purgatory. They're only known to a certain few people in purgatory, and she uses these cracks to travel to his house and trash the holy heck out of the place. That's how the book opens up. She is chucking things around, breaking things, flooding the place, and in these course of events, she comes across his next intended victim and realizes that she's got to find a way to save this person, this young girl. I thought that was going to be the main part of the plot, was this whole revenge from purgatory. That's kind of how it's described, but there is so much more taking place in this book. A lot of the events that you come across in purgatory, a lot of the chaos going on, and she has to find a way to stop it, or the world as she knows it is going to disintegrate into nothing. And this book was beautifully paced, kept my interest the whole time. Like I said, lots of interesting characters. Velveteen in particular is a very strong, very young, but badass kicking kind of girl, and she's put through a lot from the moment she ends up in purgatory and through a lot of the events that she faces. The world itself, like I said, is vividly described. Literally, as you are reading this, at least for me, every time we return back to purgatory and they're walking through the ash, I felt like there was a cloud of ash around me. It was just the weirdest feeling. He brings the place to life, and I felt like I was there walking amongst it with the characters in the book. Very beautifully paced. Held my interest from the beginning. I cannot wait for a sequel. There's got to be a sequel. Daniel Marks, write a sequel. I highly recommend this. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I would give it 6 or 7 out of 5 stars. This is one of the best books I've read. It is a bit long, but I never felt like I was slogging through it. I'm reading here. It's 464 pages, but it goes very quickly, and it was a very enjoyable read. I'm going to put this little piece of paper down now. In addition to that, I also have this book, Kiss Me Deadly, which is 13 Tales of Paranormal Love. And within it is a short story by Daniel Marks. And I had bought this about a month earlier. I hadn't quite gotten around to reading the short story because I luckily got the ARC for Velveteen. But this particular short story is called Vermilion. And you can't really see that, can you? Yeah, barely. But I went to look at it just this morning and I realized Vermilion, that's a reference to Velveteen. And sure enough, Velvet and Nick and everybody, all the characters are in this particular short story. So I'm like, okay, something else I can jump into until a sequel shows up. Yay. But if you haven't gotten lucky enough to get an ARC and October seems too far away, you can pick this up in stores or order it and at least kind of get a glimpse into the world of Velveteen. You're really going to enjoy the book. Looking forward to reading the short story. And like I said, again, I highly recommend this book. Thought it was fabulous. My one deterrent is possibly the cover. When I first saw it, I thought it was kind of interesting, but now having read the book and all these images in my head from the story, I have a little different view of what I might have put on the cover, particularly with the cracks that they travel through. I thought it would have been really cool maybe to have like a view of the street of Purgatory, all the ash and gray, and then through the middle have like a crack with light pouring through and a person, Velvet, passing through from daylight into Purgatory. Maybe just like half her body showing through. I thought that would be kind of cool. But other than that, it's still not a bad cover. Just doesn't tell you a whole lot. Just apparently that's just Nick and Velvet laying there. But still pretty cool. And again, like I said, I highly recommend it. 5 out of 5 stars or higher. And don't forget to pick it up in October. That's it. Take care.